Commander Jamal Carter stood at the observation deck of the Earth Alliance flagship Horizons, watching the stars streak by as they approached the Valaxian home system. His dark fingers danced across the holographic interface, making final adjustments to the translation algorithm that had consumed his waking hours for months. "Still at it, Jamal?" Captain Rivera asked, stepping beside him. "The diplomatic team is counting on your work. No pressure." Jamal smiled without looking up. "Almost there, Captain. The Valaxian language has patterns I'd never seen before, but I think I've cracked their basic communication structure." The Horizons had been dispatched to make formal contact with the Valaxians after automated probes detected their advanced civilization 3 months ago. As Earth's foremost expert in computational linguistics, Jamal had been pulled from his research post and assigned to this mission of first contact. Lucas Chen, Jamal's childhood friend and the ship's security officer, approached with coffee mugs in hand. "Thought you could use this. You've barely slept since we picked up their first transmissions." "Thanks," Jamal said, accepting the steaming mug. "But sleep can wait. We're making history here." Lucas leaned against the railing. "Remember when we used to talk about aliens back in Houston? Now look at us." "I remember you thought they'd have tentacles and laser eyes," Jamal laughed. "Still might," Lucas replied with a smirk. "Don't spoil my dreams." The ship's AI announced their arrival at the designated meeting point. Jamal's heart raced as he gathered his equipment and headed to the communication center. This was the moment everything in his life had prepared him for. The Valaxian ship appeared on their screens, a beautiful structure that seemed to grow rather than be built, with organic curves and patterns that glowed with soft blue light. "Receiving transmission," the communications officer announced. Jamal connected his translation device to the main system, ready to process. The screen flickered, revealing a tall, slender being with pale skin that pulsed with shifting patterns of bioluminescence. Its 4 eyes blinked independently as it studied the humans. Jamal's algorithm went to work, analyzing the musical chirps and clicks coming from the alien. After a moment, text appeared on Jamal's screen. "We welcome the humans of Earth. I am Cathar, science liaison of the Valaxian High Council." Jamal took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "This is Commander Jamal Carter of the Earth Alliance. We come in peace and friendship." The translation flowed through his device, converting his words into the Valaxian language. Cathar's skin brightened with what Jamal hoped was pleasure rather than alarm. "Your translation device is impressive," Cathar responded, the algorithm struggling with some concepts but conveying the general meaning. "Most species require many cycles to understand our speech patterns. Commander Carter is our best linguist," Captain Rivera said proudly. "He developed this system specifically for this meeting." Cathar's skin shifted to deep purple patterns. "Then I wish to speak with Commander Carter directly. Our knowledge should be exchanged between those who understand language's true power." The captain nodded, and Jamal stepped forward. "I would be honored." Over the next few weeks, Jamal spent hours daily in video conference with Cathar. They shared information about their respective species and refined the translation algorithm together. Jamal learned that the Valaxians communicated not just through sound, but through the light patterns on their skin, adding layers of meaning his initial program had missed. Lucas watched these sessions with growing unease. "You're giving them too much, too fast," he warned Jamal one evening in the mess hall. "We barely know anything about them." "That's the point of these talks," Jamal replied. "Cathar has been incredibly open about their culture. Did you know their society is organized based on their skin pattern frequencies? It's fascinating." "It's just," Lucas paused. "You've always been too trusting. Remember in college when that company stole your research?" Jamal shook his head. "This isn't like that. We're building something important here, the foundation for peaceful relations between our species." After a month of virtual meetings, the Valaxian Council invited a small human delegation to visit their space station. Captain Rivera selected Jamal, Lucas, and Dr. Elena Whitfield, the ship's xenobiologist, to make the journey. As their shuttle docked with the Valaxian station, Jamal felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. His algorithm had worked well remotely, but face-to-face communication would be the real test. The airlock opened to reveal Cathar waiting for them. In person, the Valaxian stood nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that shimmered with complex patterns. "Welcome, friends," Cathar said, his translator device rendering his chirps into English. "It is an honor to meet physically rather than through screens." Jamal stepped forward, hand extended as they had discussed in their cultural briefings. "The honor is ours, Cathar." The Valaxian placed his long, 4-fingered hand against Jamal's in their agreed greeting. "Your translation device works even better in person. I can sense the emotional resonance is correctly calibrated." "This is Dr. Elena Whitfield, our xenobiologist," Jamal said, gesturing to his colleague, "and Lieutenant Lucas Chen, our security specialist." Cathar's skin flashed with bright patterns as he greeted Elena, a fellow scientist. "Your studies of life forms must be extensive. We have much to discuss." When Cathar turned to Lucas, his patterns dimmed slightly. "And protection is always respected. Your role is valued." Lucas nodded stiffly, his hand resting near his sidearm. Cathar led them through the station, explaining Valaxian technology and social structures. Other Valaxians they passed displayed various skin pattern reactions to the humans. Curiosity, caution, excitement. "Your people seem interested in us," Elena observed. "You are the first non-Valaxians many have encountered," Cathar explained. "Your diversity particularly fascinates us. The different colors and structures of your outer layers." "You mean our skin tones and body types?" Jamal asked. "Yes. Among Valaxians, our base form is similar. It is our light patterns that distinguish us. Yet you have such variety without illumination." As they toured the research facilities, Cathar and Jamal fell into deep conversation about potential collaborative projects. The Valaxian scientists seemed particularly interested in Jamal's linguistic work. "You understand patterns others miss," Cathar said. "Your mind works in ways similar to our higher pattern caste. This is rare among other species we have encountered." Lucas watched from a distance, his frown deepening as Jamal and Cathar continued their animated discussion, with Elena increasingly joining in. That evening, as the human delegation prepared to return to their shuttle for the night, Cathar approached Jamal privately. "I wish to formalize our knowledge bond," the Valaxian said. "You would be the first human to hold such status among my people." Jamal smiled, unaware of how this simple friendship would soon become the center of an interstellar legal battle that would test the limits of cross-species understanding. The Earth Alliance delegation settled into a comfortable routine aboard the Valaxian station over the next few weeks. Jamal spent most of his time with Cathar, refining their translation system and learning about Valaxian culture. Their friendship grew stronger each day, with Cathar teaching Jamal the meanings behind different skin pattern displays. This sequence, Cathar demonstrated, his skin flowing with waves of blue and gold, indicates deep respect between knowledge sharers. Jamal studied the pattern carefully. In human terms, we might call that academic respect, or perhaps intellectual friendship. "Yes, but more binding," Cathar explained. "When Valaxians form knowledge bonds, we commit to sharing all discoveries with our bond partners first." Elena joined them frequently, her expertise in xenobiology making her a valuable addition to their conversations. One morning, as they discussed cellular regeneration techniques, Jamal noticed Cathar's reaction to Elena's insights. "Dr. Whitfield, your understanding of biological processes is impressive," Cathar said, his skin displaying patterns Jamal hadn't seen before. "Elena has been studying comparative biology for 15 years, Jamal explained proudly. "She's one of Earth's leading researchers." Cathar's eyes blinked in sequence. "Would you be willing to share your research methods with our life science cast?" "I'd be delighted," Elena replied. "Scientific exchange is why we're here." That evening, Jamal formally introduced Elena to Cathar's research team. This is Dr. Elena Whitfield. She's not just a colleague, but a friend whose work I deeply respect. The Valaxians in the room all displayed bright flashes across their skin, and several made musical trilling sounds. Cathar seemed especially pleased, his patterns shifting to complex formations that Jamal's translator couldn't fully interpret. Lucas observed the interaction from the doorway, his eyes narrowing. He had been increasingly sidelined during the diplomatic mission, with Jamal and Elena forming closer ties with the Valaxians. The next day, a Valaxian official with deep purple skin approached Jamal in the station's common area. "Commander Carter, I am D-Lore of the Cultural Relations Office. I must verify your bond claim status." Jamal looked confused. "My what?" "Your introduction of Dr. Whitfield to Cathar's knowledge circle," D-Lore explained. "Such introductions form a responsibility bond. As the introducer, you have made a formal claim." "I'm afraid I don't understand," Jamal said. "I simply introduced two scientists who should know each other's work." D-Lore's skin pulsed with what Jamal was beginning to recognize as concern. "In our culture, introducing someone to your established bond group creates a formal relationship structure. You have claimed responsibility for Dr. Whitfield's actions and contributions." Jamal tried to process this information. "So by introducing Elena to Cathar's team, I've created some kind of formal relationship." "Yes," D-Lore confirmed. "You have established what we call a tri-bond between yourself, Cathar, and Dr. Whitfield. This is unusual but not unprecedented." When Jamal explained the situation to Elena later, she seemed more amused than concerned. "So I've been culturally adopted through you, like academic family." "Something like that," Jamal replied. D-Lore said it's mostly a formality, but we should be aware of it during our interactions. Neither noticed Lucas listening from nearby, his face darkening with each word. The next morning, Captain Rivera called an emergency meeting with the human delegation. Her expression was grave as she addressed them. "We have a diplomatic situation," she announced. "The Valaxian High Council has received a formal complaint about Commander Carter's conduct." Jamal looked up in surprise. "My conduct? What's happened?" "Lieutenant Chen has filed a grievance with the Valaxians," Rivera said, turning to Lucas. "Perhaps you'd like to explain." Lucas stood straighter. "I've been studying Valaxian cultural protocols while you've been playing scientist, Jamal. What you did violated their social structure laws. You had no right to create a bond claim over Dr. Whitfield." "What?" Jamal and Elena said in unison. "Dr. Whitfield is a member of the Earth Alliance Scientific Corps," Lucas continued. "She doesn't belong to your personal relationship network. By Galaxian standards, you've essentially stolen her from her proper group and claimed her for your alien friendship circle." Captain Rivera sighed. "The Valaxians take this very seriously. They've initiated a formal grievance process that could impact our entire diplomatic mission." Elena stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. Nobody has claimed me. I'm collaborating with the Valaxians of my own free will." "That's not how their system works," Lucas insisted. "They have strict protocols about who can introduce whom to established groups. As our cultural liaison, Jamal should have known better." Jamal felt a cold knot forming in his stomach. "Captain, this has to be a misunderstanding. Cathar never suggested I was doing anything inappropriate." "Nevertheless," Rivera said, "the High Council has requested your presence for a formal hearing. They're taking this complaint seriously." Later that day, Cathar found Jamal in his quarters, looking troubled. The Valaxian's skin displayed patterns of distress. "I have just learned of the grievance," Cathar said. "I did not anticipate this interpretation of our bond." "Can you explain what's happening?" Jamal asked. "Lucas is saying I violated your cultural protocols by introducing Elena to your research team." Cathar's skin darkened to deep blue. "In traditional Valaxian society, relationship structures follow strict patterns. When someone from one bond group introduces a new person to another bond group, they become responsible for that connection. But I didn't know I was creating some kind of formal structure, Jamal protested. That is understood, Cathar replied. But Lieutenant Chen has invoked an old custom rarely used anymore. He claims that as Dr. Whitfield's Earth Group member, he should have been consulted before you created a cross-species bond involving her. Jamal shook his head in disbelief. Lucas and Elena barely know each other. They're not even in the same department. The council must respect the grievance process, Cathar explained. But I will stand as your witness. This appears to be a misapplication of our customs. The next day, Jamal was escorted to the council chamber, a circular room where 7 Valaxian elders sat on elevated platforms. Their skin displayed complex, shifting patterns that his translator couldn't fully process. Lucas stood to one side, looking smugly confident. The lead council member, whose skin glowed with authority patterns, addressed the room. We gather to address a grievance concerning human Valaxian bond protocols. Lieutenant Chen claims that Commander Carter has inappropriately claimed bond responsibility for Dr. Elena Whitfield without proper authorization from her Earth Group. Jamal stepped forward. Honorable Council, I meant no disrespect to your customs. I was simply facilitating scientific collaboration between our peoples. Ignorance of our ways does not negate the impropriety. Lucas interrupted. As Earth's security representative, I must ensure all cultural protocols are followed. Commander Carter has overstepped his authority by creating unauthorized bonds. As the council member's skin flickered with deliberation patterns, Jamal realized this was more than a simple misunderstanding. Something in Lucas's eyes told him this was personal, a deliberate attempt to undermine the friendship he had built with Cathar and the progress they were making. The lead council member spoke again. This matter requires careful consideration. We will convene a formal hearing in 3 cycles. Until then, all bond activities between Commander Carter, Cathar, and Dr. Whitfield are suspended. As Jamal left the chamber, he caught Lucas's satisfied smile. What had begun as a simple introduction had somehow turned into an interstellar incident that threatened everything they had worked for. The day of the trial arrived with an air of tension throughout the Valaxian station. Jamal stood before the ornate doors of the High Council chamber, adjusting his formal Earth Alliance uniform. Elena and Captain Rivera waited beside him, both looking concerned. This is complete nonsense, Elena whispered. I should be able to work with whoever I want. Captain Rivera shook her head. We're on their station, following their rules. Like it or not, we need to respect their process. The doors swung open, revealing a vast circular room. 7 Valaxian council members sat on a raised platform, their skin displaying formal judgment patterns of deep purple and gold. Below them, dozens of Valaxians filled the observer seats, their skin flickering with curious patterns as they watched the humans enter. Cathar stood to one side, his posture rigid. By Galaxian custom, he couldn't approach Jamal until the proceedings concluded. Lucas stood at the prosecutor's position, looking pleased with himself. The lead counselor, an elder Valaxian named Yivoth, raised his 4-fingered hand. This council convenes to address the grievance of Lieutenant Chen against Commander Carter regarding improper bond claiming of Dr. Whitfield. Let the proceedings begin. A Valaxian translator stepped forward, although Jamal's device could handle most of the conversation. This was a formality to ensure no misunderstandings. Yivoth turned to Lucas. Lieutenant Chen, present your grievance. Lucas stepped forward confidently. Honorable Council, I speak as Earth Alliance security liaison. Commander Carter has violated Section 47 of the Valaxian Cultural Interaction Protocols by claiming bond responsibility for Dr. Whitfield without proper authorization. Dr. Whitfield belongs to the Earth Alliance Scientific Court, not Commander Carter's personal relationship network. He makes it sound like I'm property, Elena muttered under her breath. Further, Lucas continued, Commander Carter introduced Dr. Whitfield to Cathar's research group without following proper chain of authority procedures. This created an unauthorized tri-bond that bypasses established diplomatic channels. Givoth's skin pulsed with consideration patterns. Commander Carter, how do you respond to these charges? Jamal stepped forward, trying to appear calm despite his racing heart. Honorable Counsel, I acted with no knowledge of breaking any protocols. On Earth, introducing colleagues is a simple courtesy, not a formal claim. I was simply connecting two scientists whose work could benefit from collaboration. Ignorance of our customs is not a defense, interrupted a council member whose name Jamal didn't know. With respect, Jamal replied, the cultural briefing materials provided to our delegation contain no information about these bond claim protocols. I've reviewed them carefully. This caused a ripple of light patterns among the council members. Givoth leaned forward. Is this true? Were the humans not informed of our bond-claiming traditions? The cultural liaison officer, Delore, stepped forward. The materials focused on immediate interaction protocols. The bond claim traditions were considered outdated. They have not been enforced in 3 generations. This revelation caused a stir in the chamber. Valaxians in the audience displayed patterns of surprise and confusion. Lucas quickly recovered. The traditions remain in your law, regardless of enforcement practices. Commander Carter's actions have created diplomatic confusion that threatens our alliance. Givoth raised his hand for silence. We will hear from the claimed individual. Dr. Whitfield, please approach. Elena stepped forward, her face determined. I am not property to be claimed. I am a scientist who chooses my own collaborations. Commander Carter introduced me to Cathar's team as a professional courtesy, and I benefited greatly from working with them. Yet you are part of the Earth Alliance structure, Givoth noted. Lieutenant Chen claims that structure must be respected. Lieutenant Chen has no authority over my scientific collaborations, Elena replied firmly. On Earth, different departments work independently. My work with Cathar's team has already produced valuable research breakthroughs. The council members' skin patterns flickered as they communicated silently among themselves. Finally, Givoth spoke again. We wish to hear from Cathar, who accepted the bond introduction. Cathar stepped into the center of the chamber, his skin displaying formal testimony patterns. Honorable Counsel, I accepted Commander Carter's introduction of Dr. Whitfield as a scientific collaboration, not as a formal bond claim. In our modern practice, such introductions rarely invoke the ancient bond laws. Yet the laws exist, Givoth reminded him. Yes, Cathar acknowledged, but they were created when our society had rigid case systems. Today, we recognize individual choice in bond formation. To enforce these old laws now seems regressive. This caused another stir among the observers. Many displayed agreement patterns. Lucas looked increasingly frustrated. The issue isn't just about old laws. It's about proper diplomatic channels. Commander Carter bypassed security protocols by creating unauthorized relationship structures. Jamal frowned, suddenly seeing the new angle. May I ask a question, Honorable Counsel? Givoth nodded. Lieutenant Chen, can you explain exactly which security protocols were violated by my introduction? Lucas hesitated. Though the protocols requiring all interspecies interactions to be monitored and documented. All interactions, Jamal pressed, including your recent meetings with Valaxian security personnel that weren't logged in the official records. Lucas paled visibly. That's different. Those were confidential security consultations. Yet they weren't reported to Captain Rivera or logged in the Earth Alliance diplomatic record, Jamal noted. If we're discussing proper channels, Givoth's skin displayed interest patterns. Lieutenant Chen, is this true? Have you engaged in undocumented interactions with our people? Before Lucas could answer, the chamber doors burst open. A junior Valaxian rushed in, skin flashing urgent patterns. Forgive the interruption, the newcomer chirped, but I bring important evidence related to this case. Givoth nodded permission, and the young Valaxian approached, handing over a data crystal. This contains records of private communications between Lieutenant Chen and members of the isolationist faction. The council examined the crystal, their skin patterns growing dark with concern. Guy Voth looked up sharply. "Lieutenant Chen, these communications suggest you deliberately initiated this grievance to disrupt the growing relationship between our peoples." Lucas's face hardened. "Those records are fabricated. This is a setup. The data signature is authentic," one council member noted, skin flickering with technical patterns. Guy Voth turned to Jamal. "Commander Carter, did you know about these communications?" "No," Jamal admitted. "But I suspected Lieutenant Chen's grievance wasn't motivated by genuine concern for protocol. We've been friends since childhood, but he's been increasingly distant since our work with the Valaxians began." The council members conferred among themselves, their skin displaying complex deliberation patterns. After several minutes, Guy Voth addressed the chamber. "This case has revealed much about both our cultures. It appears the grievance was filed not from cultural concern, but from personal motivation. The Council finds no violation in Commander Carter's introduction of Dr. Whitfield to Cathar's research team." Relief washed over Jamal's face. Cathar's skin brightened with pleasure patterns. However, Guy Voth continued, "This incident highlights the need for clearer cultural exchange protocols, and it raises serious questions about Lieutenant Chen's actions that must be investigated further." Lucas stood rigid, his plan unraveling before him. As guards approached to escort him out, he shot Jamal a look of pure hatred. "This isn't over," he hissed. "You've chosen them over your own kind." As Lucas was led away, Cathar approached Jamal and Alina. "I apologize for this ordeal. There is much more to explain about what has happened here." "I think we're just beginning to understand," Jamal replied, watching Lucas's retreating figure with a mixture of sadness and determination. Cathar led Jamal and Alina to a secure meeting room deep within the Valaxian station. Captain Rivera joined them, along with Guy Voth and two other council members. The room's walls shifted to an opaque blue, indicating the highest privacy settings. "What you're about to learn must remain confidential," Guy Voth said, his skin pattern solemn. The grievance against Commander Carter was merely the surface of a much deeper problem. Cathar's skin flickered with worry patterns. "For several cycles, we've suspected information leaks from our most sensitive research projects. Classified biotechnology data has appeared in unexpected places." "And you think Lucas is involved?" Jamal asked, still struggling to believe his childhood friend could be part of something sinister. Guy Voth nodded. "The communications we discovered show Lieutenant Chen has been in contact with a dangerous faction among our people, the Purists." Captain Rivera leaned forward. "Who are the Purists?" "They believe Valaxians should remain isolated from other species," Cathar explained. "They see our alliance with humans as contamination of our culture and biology." Alina frowned. "But what does this have to do with Lucas filing a grievance against Jamal?" The youngest council member, a slur, displayed analysis patterns on her skin as she spoke. The trial was a distraction. While everyone focused on the cultural violation claims, Lieutenant Chen was gathering restricted biotech data from our medical labs. "How do you know this?" Captain Rivera asked. Guy Voth activated a holographic display showing security footage. It showed Lucas entering a restricted laboratory late at night, copying files onto a small device. "This was recorded 3 cycles ago," Guy Voth said. "The laboratory contains our research on genetic enhancements, technology that could be weaponized if misused." Jamal shook his head in disbelief. "I've known Lucas since we were children. He wouldn't betray Earth Alliance this way." "I'm not certain he sees it as betrayal," Cathar said gently. "The communications suggest he believes he's protecting Earth by obtaining advanced technology before other human factions can access it." Captain Rivera's expression hardened. "That's still theft and violation of our treaty agreements." What else was he after? Cellular displayed more footage showing Lucas meeting secretly with a Valaxian whose skin displayed purist patterns. He promised them human weapons technology in exchange for exclusive rights to certain biotech advancements. "A private technology exchange," Alina said, understanding dawning. He was setting up his own deal outside official channels. Jamal struggled to process this revelation. And the grievance against me? An attempt to discredit you, Jivoth confirmed. Your growing friendship with Cathar and your work on the translation system threatened his plans. If the Council ruled against you, your credibility would be damaged. We need evidence, Captain Rivera said firmly. Solid proof we can take to Earth Alliance Command. Cathar's skin brightened. That's why we brought you here. We need your help to expose the full conspiracy. The next morning, Jamal sat alone in the station's observation lounge, pretending to work on his translation algorithms. As expected, Lucas approached, having been released pending further investigation. They can't hold an Earth Alliance officer without concrete evidence, Lucas said smugly, sitting across from Jamal. The captain may believe their accusations, but it's my word against theirs. Jamal kept his expression neutral, as Cathar had advised. I still don't understand why, Lucas. We've been friends for 20 years. Lucas leaned closer. Look around you, Jamal. The Valaxians have technology decades beyond ours. Biotechnology that could revolutionize human medicine, weapons capabilities that could secure Earth's position in the galaxy. So you're stealing it for Earth's benefit? Jamal asked skeptically. Not for Earth, for us, Lucas replied, lowering his voice. Do you know how much private corporations would pay for exclusive access to Valaxian biotech? We could name our price. So this is about money, Jamal said, disappointment evident in his voice. Lucas scoffed. It's about opportunity. While you've been playing diplomat, making friends with aliens, I've been securing our future. These peace treaties and cultural exchanges will take decades to produce any real benefits for humanity. And the purists, what do they get? Lucas smiled coldly. They get what they want. Evidence that humans can't be trusted. Once our deal is complete, they plan to use the theft of their technology as proof that the alliance should be dissolved. Jamal struggled to keep his expression neutral. You destroy the alliance between our species for personal gain. Don't be dramatic, Lucas replied. Another alliance will form eventually, once Earth has had time to catch up technologically. I'm just accelerating the process and filing the grievance against me. Lucas shrugged. You were getting too close to Cathar, too invested in this friendship nonsense. I needed to create some distance, make the Valaxians question your motives. It didn't work, Jamal pointed out. No, Lucas admitted, but it doesn't matter now. My contacts are ready to move. Tonight, I'm meeting with the purist leader to complete our exchange. And then what? And then we leave, Lucas said simply. I've arranged for a private transport to rendezvous with us. By the time Earth Alliance realizes what's happened, we'll be halfway to the Centauri colonies with the most valuable technology in human history. Jamal nodded slowly. Sounds like you've thought of everything. I usually do, Lucas said with a smirk. Despite what happened at the trial, I'm still willing to cut you in, Jamal. For old time's sake, all you have to do is look the other way tonight. When and where is this meeting happening? Jamal asked, appearing to consider the offer. Storage Bay 12, midnight station time, Lucas replied. Think about it. This is bigger than friendship with aliens or some Maeve diplomatic mission. After Lucas left, Jamal touched the small communication device hidden under his collar. Did you get all that? Every word, Captain Rivera's voice confirmed. Good work, Commander. That night, Jamal watched from a hidden observation point as Lucas entered Storage Bay 12. He carried a small case that likely contained the stolen Earth Alliance weapon specifications he had promised the purists. 3 Valaxians waited inside, their skin displaying the distinctive patterns of the purist faction. One stepped forward, taller than the others. You have what was promised, the Valaxian asked. Lucas opened his case, showing the contents. Complete specifications for Earth's latest phase cannon technology. Now show me the biotech. The lead purist produced a crystal data storage device. All our research on cellular regeneration and genetic enhancement. As agreed. As they reached to exchange items, the bay doors slid open. Captain Rivera entered with a security team, while Jivath and several council members appeared from another entrance. Lieutenant Lucas Chen, Rivera announced formally, "You are under arrest for espionage, theft of classified materials, and violation of the Earth-Valaxian Treaty." The purist's skin flashed with alarm patterns as they found themselves surrounded by security officers. Lucas looked around wildly, his plan collapsing. His eyes found Jummel stepping out from his hiding place. "You set me up," Lucas snarled. "You set yourself up," Jummel replied sadly. "You betrayed everything we stand for." As Lucas and the purists were taken into custody, Cathar approached Jamal. "This is not how I hoped our peoples would grow closer, but perhaps good can come from uncovering this darkness." Jamal nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes you need to face conflict to build something stronger." 3 days after Lucas's arrest, the Grand Chamber of the Valaxian High Council was filled to capacity. Valaxians from all castes and patterns gathered to witness the special session. The Earth Alliance delegation, including Captain Rivera, Jamal, and Elena, stood before the council platform. Givoth's skin displayed the formal patterns of a major pronouncement as he addressed the assembly. "We gather today to conclude matters of grave importance and to chart a new path forward between our peoples." The chamber grew silent, the soft glow of Valaxian skin creating a gentle, shifting light throughout the room. Lieutenant Lucas Chen and the purist conspirators have been detained. Their plot to undermine our alliance through theft and deception has failed, thanks to the actions of Commander Jamal Carter and his Valaxian bond friend Cathar. Cathar stepped forward, his skin displaying pride patterns. What began as a misunderstanding about our cultural practices revealed a dangerous conspiracy. But in facing this challenge together, we have proven the strength of cooperation between our species. Captain Rivera nodded in agreement. Earth Alliance Command has been fully briefed on Lieutenant Chen's actions. He will face justice under our laws for his betrayal. We deeply regret the breach of trust. The fault is shared, Jivath replied. The purists have long worked within our system to prevent outward connections. This incident has exposed their influence and allowed us to remove them from positions of power. Jamal looked around the chamber, seeing the mix of Valaxians watching with interest. Just weeks ago, they had been complete strangers from an alien culture. Now, after working through misunderstanding and betrayal, he felt a genuine connection to these people. Givoth continued, "The Council has reached a decision regarding our path forward. Commander Carter, please approach." Jamal stepped forward, standing tall despite his nervousness. "Your actions during this crisis demonstrated the best qualities we have observed in humanity: integrity, adaptability, and a genuine desire for understanding across differences." Givoth's skin shifted to a formal blue-green pattern Jamal had never seen before. "We propose a new protocol for human-Valaxian relations, one that honors both our traditions and your ways. We call it the Carter Protocol." Surprised whispers filled the chamber. Jamal looked to Cathar, who displayed encouraging patterns. "The Carter Protocol," Givoth explained, "establishes formal recognition of cross-species bonds without the rigid structures of our ancient laws. It acknowledges that relationships between different species must be built on mutual understanding rather than impose rules." Captain Rivera looked impressed. "This is a significant honor, Commander." Givoth held up a hand. "But before we formalize this protocol, we wish to hear from Commander Carter himself. Throughout this ordeal, you have shown remarkable insight into both cultures. The Council would value your perspective on how we move forward from here." The chamber fell silent. Jamal hadn't expected to speak and had prepared nothing. But looking around at the attentive faces, both human and Valaxian, he knew what needed to be said. "Honorable Council, distinguished Valaxians, and my fellow humans," Jamal began, his voice clear. "When I first developed the translation algorithm to speak with your people, I thought the greatest barrier between us would be language. I was wrong." He paused, gathering his thoughts. The true challenge wasn't understanding each other's words, but understanding each other's perspectives. Lucas saw your advanced technology and thought only of how it could benefit him. The purists saw our differences and feared contamination. Both sides looked at the other and saw something to use or something to fear. Jamal gestured to Cathar and Elena standing nearby. But what I've learned through my friendship with Cathar and our work together is that our differences aren't barriers, they're opportunities. Humans don't have bioluminescent skin to display our emotions, so we've developed thousands of verbal languages to express ourselves. Valaxians evolved with 4 eyes that can see spectrums invisible to us, giving you perspectives we literally cannot imagine. The Valaxian's skin patterns showed thoughtful attention as he continued. On Earth, we have a concept called humanity that encompasses more than just our biological species. It represents our capacity for compassion, understanding, and growth beyond our limitations. I believe we've seen that same quality in the Valaxian people, a willingness to reach beyond your own experience to connect with something different. Jamal looked directly at Jivoth. The Carter Protocol shouldn't just be about establishing rules for how we interact. It should be a commitment to see beyond our cultural assumptions, to build connections based on who we are rather than what we are. The chamber remained silent as Jamal concluded. What happened with Lucas and the purists wasn't just about technology theft or cultural misunderstandings. It was about fear of the unknown. The best way to overcome that fear isn't through more rules or restrictions, but through more understanding, more connections, more friendships across the differences that seem to divide us. As Jamal finished, Cathar's skin displayed patterns of deep respect. Throughout the chamber, Valaxians began showing similar patterns, creating waves of light that flowed across the assembly. Jivoth's own skin glowed with approval. Well spoken, Commander Carter. Your words embody the spirit we hope to capture in this new protocol. The council members each displayed affirmation patterns in sequence, a formal vote of approval. Jivoth then addressed the assembly once more. Let it be recorded that the Carter Protocol is hereby established as the foundation for human-Valaxian relations. From this day forward, our peoples will build connections based on mutual respect and understanding, recognizing that our differences strengthen rather than divide us. Captain Rivera stepped forward. Earth Alliance formally accepts and endorses the Carter Protocol. We look forward to a new era of cooperation. The ceremony concluded with Jamal, Elena, and Cathar being formally recognized as the first official human Valaxian diplomatic triad under the new protocol. Their unique bond, which had been the subject of controversy and trial, was now celebrated as a model for future relations. Later, as they watched the stars from the observation deck, Cathar's skin displayed friendship patterns as he turned to Jamal. Your friend Lucas once told me that humanity's greatest weakness was its diversity, too many competing interests and perspectives. And what do you think now? Jamal asked. Cathar's skin glowed warmly. I believe we have proven that humanity's greatest strength is its diversity, the ability to see beyond your own perspective and embrace the unknown. Elena smiled. That's what makes us human. No, Cathar replied thoughtfully, his patterns shifting to show a deeper understanding. That's what makes us alike, despite our differences. Perhaps that quality deserves a better name than just humanity, something both our peoples can share. As the Earth Alliance ship prepared to depart the next day, carrying Lucas back to face justice, a new team of human scientists and diplomats arrived to continue the work begun by Jamal's team. The Carter Protocol would guide their interactions, reminding both species that the path to understanding begins not with rules, but with respect. And across the stars, word spread of how one human's friendship with an alien had transformed an interstellar incident into a foundation for lasting peace.